So I'm here with Chris Griffith from Downing Fry Realty over in Bonita Springs. Bonita Springs, if you haven't been to it, is just across Alligator Alley from Fort Lauderdale, just due west. Chris has been an agent for a long time. I'll let her tell you what she's been doing. My wife and I spent some time in Bonita Springs as we went over there after a hurricane, tried to find some place to stay, fell in love with the place, and then from the last number of years, I've talked to Chris online, and I just wanted to bring her on to get a different perspective of real estate in a different market other than here in South Florida, especially with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. Chris, happy to have you here.
So, glad to be here.
How long have you been an agent?
I think 21 years now.
21 years.
Turning into one of the little old ladies in the business.
That's funny. What made you, have you always been in Bonita Springs? What made you fall in love and go into business over there?
You know, I had family here. As a child, my mom came to visit retiree uncles and aunts that lived down here. And I think the population at the time was around 1,800 when I got here. And now we are a full city. You know, I think we're in the 65,000 range at this point. So we went from hitchhiking across town, you know, with no stoplights to a major international destination.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I mean, well, that's also typical for a lot of the stuff on the West Coast, from what I understand. Over the Naples, Sarasota, all the way up to Tampa, it's grown leaps and bounds because I guess we've got too overcrowded here on the East Coast, and so people found out, hey, there's actually a West Coast with a beach as well. So let me ask you a question. How has the market been over there pre-COVID in relation to post-COVID?
Well, you know, our big population that we've been dealing with is that boomer population. 8 to 10,000 Americans turn 65 every day. A lot of them are planning their retirement or retiring, or they're worried they're going to get priced out of the market. So they're buying something maybe a year or two in advance because they're just worried about what prices would be like when they did hit retirement age. So it's really been a brisk market. On top of that, as the people have retired, they have filed Florida residency for the tax benefits and sold their home up north, come down here. When they move into their second home that once was a rental, it takes another rental off the market. So now there's a shortage of rentals also. So a lot of people who are thinking of just wintering over, they also get sort of caught in that catch-22 as well. We can't find a rental and we are going to need to buy in a couple of years. So they just rip the Band-Aid off and hop into the market. It might be a year or two in advance, but that was what was propelling the market the last couple of years.
Now, is it new construction? Obviously, it's a growing area over there. So was it people who bought land in advance and decided when they retired they were going to build a new home, or is it a lot of just existing homes on the resale market?
Well, this Bonita Springs area, we are the land of gated communities. The city of Bonita Springs was once the tomato capital of the world, and I think it's the golf course capital of the world now. Every major developer came here and threw up a wall and gates, and we are about 85-90% gated and deed restricted. So most of the building is controlled by, a lot of the big boys, Lennar, D.R. Horton, WCI Communities, and many others. So while there are some places where people did build their homes, there's a lot of major development, but we're kind of getting close to being, well, I can't say we're being built out, but closer to the water, of course, is the demand, like with any coastal city. So we are building east of 75, which I don't know what would be west of you, but, we're building out there. So they call it out there, but it's still only, anywhere from 7 to 10 miles to the beach, which isn't really far at all. The city of Bonita Springs is probably, 7 miles by 7 miles. I tell everybody, you can be anywhere you need to be in 20 minutes.
So you're making it work, and what you just described is actually a small market, but it's still bustling with activity. Is that a statement?
Oh, absolutely.
Correct? Wow, okay.
Yes.
So what was selling, the condos / townhomes, or the single family homes, or basically everything?
Just everything. Every market always has a little bubble that isn't selling as robustly as another, and we had some slowdown with our bundled golf communities, and that's where the golf community or the golf membership is mandatory. it usually adds about $6 to $8 grand a year for the fee. And we had Lennar Homes way out there come build a whole golf community, and it just ate the lunch of every other bundle golf community here. Americans are picky and spoiled, and they went out there and bought brand new. So they've kind of rounding the bend on that neighborhood. So the other communities are catching up now. But there's some great deals to be had in bundle golf communities right now, in existing bundle golf communities.
So you had mentioned to me in an email that you were seeing a lot of sales that are happening by cash buyers, and they were actually buying sight unseen. How is that happening? How did you get the word out for people to contact you for that?
Well, I've done this a while, so I have a pretty healthy network, and I've done this for a long time, so I know a lot of agents, I know a lot of buyers. A lot of my business comes as a referral. I run a really large Facebook group specifically for Bonita Springs and Estero, which is another little village north of here. And, people just call. Actually, on my way home from church today, somebody that's been potting around on my website sent me an email and said, hey, go take a look at this home, send me any disclosures and a floor plan. We're ready to make a cash offer. We're closing on our home in Wisconsin July 15th.
Wow.
And, that's this weekend. Last weekend, I had 3 sales sight unseen. Sometimes I've taken a video, and I might have mentioned that app I was using to create a floor plan if I can't find a floor plan. So I show them the floor plan. I make a video. We talk about the home. I go give it the in-person tour and a sniff test. And we write it up. We've got great inspectors that do a fabulous job, including thermal imaging, so that you're getting a good sound property. And even though people can't fly, they are still buying their real estate.
And if you look at, and I'll put the link in the description below, Chris's blog, which is Life in Bonita Springs. It's just chocked full of information of anything you'd want to know about Bonita Springs or Estero, that any homeowner could sit there and just spend a day going through, because there's just so much information over the years that she's put on there. And I knew this 10 years ago when she was doing stuff. And so imagine 10 plus 12 years of content just talking about that specific area. And of course it gets seeded in Google and people share the articles, and now she's doing video as well. So that's a way to do it without having to rely on just sending out postcards and here's what's best in a neighborhood. I have to commend you for sticking to it when everybody else, including myself, said, I'm done. I'm going to do some social media stuff. But you just kept.
I was watching you.
Yeah, you just kept putting that content out there, and I'm like, wow, he just keeps putting it out there. So where are they coming from? You mentioned Wisconsin. Where else are the people who are coming to Bonita Springs? Were they
all over the world? I mean, even we're just an international destination, but we do get a lot of people from the Midwest. So Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan. The interstate comes right down this coast, so they fly right on down here. And, year over year, many people show up here. We might get a Barry that comes here, and Barry's friends find out about it. And that's the circumstance right now. I have a home inspection tomorrow, sight unseen buyers who now their friends have been to the area with them, and they have Florida fever. So they're flying in. They aren't brave enough to pull the trigger yet. So they'll look at some property with me, and if they might not find what they're looking for, and they might have to get brave because it's not going to wait for you to hop on a plane. It's just not. I had one transaction fall out a few days ago and put it back on the market. It got multiple offers again in 24 hours. So, and it's under contract again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing this, like you mentioned, you have a home inspection you've got to get to. How are you showing homes? I mean, are you doing any physical, or is it all virtual at this point?
Well, I do a lot of virtual. I mean, one of the first things that we did is, as soon as this happened, for our own family's personal safety, we've got a variety of our own health issues. So, I was like, I'm taking 30 days off. It's the right thing to do. And I'm fortunate enough that I didn't really have to work. I have my bills under control. I'm fiscally responsible. So I took 30 days off. And then the phone started ringing and they started buying it sight unseen. So one of the things that we do have, on our website is, number one, a banner that we provide virtual services, and people are able to make a virtual appointment, whether they are on a Zoom call and we're going through the home. But we find it better for us to go through and take a nice long video and go to all four corners of the room, spin around so they get the whole feel of the floor plan. And then they're able to watch it time and again. Or, we explain to them in YouTube or in the Google. I back everything up to Google so that they can hit the gears and either speed up the video if I'm going too slow or slow it down if I'm going too fast.
Oh, wow. Hey, I mean, every lawyer, every doctor is now into teleappointments, telemedicine, telelegal, whatever. And I guess what you're saying, basically, you've turned into teleshowings and being able to show people properties remotely, which is, I mean, I don't see a lot of realtors on this side of the coast over here in Fort Lauderdale and Boca doing that. And so that's pretty smart. I mean, it just takes it to the next level where I mean, basically doing what other people won't do. So, I mean, every day when I'm live, I talk about how the numbers are so exaggerated here in Palm Beach and Broward, and the media is just driving people crazy. What are you seeing on the ground over there on your side with Bonita Springs, Estero? I don't think that area was hit as hard to begin with, and where is it now?
I'm really not sure because everything's really confusing, and you hear conflicting numbers, and you hear a lot of conflicting information, and you hear a lot of conflicting best practices. So we just do what's best for us. And we restrict our exposure to people, and we practice safe distancing. I just came from church. We go to an outdoor church, which is supposed to be good. And we're all sitting probably 8 or 10 feet apart. So we went there, we picked up bagels and brought them home. And we just spend a little less time in restaurants. We did go to a restaurant last week, and we were told that there was a party in there that all came down with COVID. And fortunately, I'm an early bird, so I'm also an early bird at night. And we were already gone by the time that party showed up, but it really made me think a little bit. So we're like, it's not quite over yet. You just never know. We've got our own health ailments that, we might just take it a little harder than the regular people. So we're kind of just hanging around the house a little bit more than usual.
It was my wife's birthday last week, and I took her out to a French restaurant here in Boca. And everyone working there, they did the right thing. They had the tables were socially distanced. People had masks, but nobody in this restaurant was packed. Nobody had anything on or gloves or anything. So it's weird over here on the east side because it's like people are just in complete open defiance. It's not as age challenged as some of the people on the West Coast may be. And that may be why we're seeing escalating in cases as well. So where do you see the market in 30, 60, 90 days based upon what we know now?
I think, number one, I'm shocked at I was kind of hoping for a slowdown, and part of it just from the standpoint of, the real estate market in Florida is really easy to get into. It's, $300 or $400 in a week in class, and anybody has a license. And so I deal with a lot of agents that aren't experienced, and I know everybody deserves a chance to grow their experience, but some of them don't. So I was kind of hoping it would slow down and wash out some of the market, and we'd get down to the real players again. But that didn't happen. So I see us to continue going. It doesn't seem to scare people. We weren't really affected by the oil spill when everybody was worried about oil coming to our beaches. And I don't even know how long ago that was, 10 years ago, or even the worst of the housing boom. We were like a dam breaking because we were all new product at that point. So, and it wasn't that one person bought a home, it was that one person bought 10 homes. So the dam broke up front, but we were also recovered really quickly. And those bargain hunters came back in 08, 09 and bought a lot of it up. So we were well above the nation, and, we're a little bit of a pocket here of wealth. It's not that there aren't people who live in entry level housing or still are, living paycheck to paycheck here, but there are a lot that aren't. just looking at a parking lot of cars, sometimes my mind is blown by how many billions of dollars of cars are parked out there. It's, only in America.
You'd be surprised over here in Boca. There's like a line that goes through the town or the city, and everything east of basically military or power line, you're going to see the Mercedes, the Rolls Royce, the Lamborghinis, just Bentleys everywhere. And then go a little bit west and it changes completely. And you're going from $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 houses to $7, $8, $10 million houses in a span of about 4 miles. It's incredible. So I know exactly what you're saying. So with CNBC talking about the huge amount of mortgage delinquencies that are happening, with what you're saying over there, it doesn't sound like you're going to get hit by any wave of foreclosures or mass evictions.
I don't know if that's going to happen in Bonita, and there certainly are areas where, it's entry-level housing. Or affordable homes. Affordable is relative in any city. Affordable here is still, I wouldn't consider it affordable in many places of the country. And our affordable homes need a lot of work sometimes. It's the cost of doing business here. But, 15, 20 miles away, we have some cities that are where everybody goes with young families because it's even more affordable. And I don't know what their pay structures are or their safety nets. Hey, this is a great time to tune in to Dave Ramsey and figure it all out.
Well, it's like everybody's waiting for next, well, not everybody over here between Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. On July 2nd, the moratorium on foreclosures and evictions is supposed to expire. With everything I'm seeing now, he may have to extend that another month, who knows? And if he does that, I don't know what landlords are going to do. They're going to start probably just, I can't imagine having to sit on a property and not get any revenue for 4 or 5 months and just expect to take it unless the banks are going to do some sort of forgiveness program. I don't think just tacking it on to the end of the loan is fair. They lost revenue. And if he doesn't suspend it, man, I can't imagine what the market's going to get hit like here. And it sounds good that you're not going to get that over there.
Well, we don't really know. And, I'm always wondering, well, here's another 30 days, what could happen? Here's another 30 days, what can happen? And I talk to people who are in charitable organizations that most especially deal with people who are in a tough spot or needing food, like the local pantries and stuff like that. And I know that they're well stocked, which means they're not depleted. Right. They're not depleted yet. And so, one of the gals that, I'm friendly with was like, will we have a tsunami in July? Is there a wave we don't know about that's coming? We don't know. And that may very well affect people.
It's one of the things, most of the courthouses have even been closed. So we haven't been able to see the level of list pendances or 3-day notices or eviction proceedings. I can't imagine on July 3rd or July 5th, say after the weekend, all of a sudden we're seeing 1,000 cases get dumped into the courthouse. People are going to go nuts. Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
Man,
like I always say to my clients, I don't know. This is my first pandemic.
Yeah. I hate to be laughing about it, but it is. One of the things in my show is no one has a crystal ball. If anybody tells you that they know what's going to happen in the next 30, 60 days, all they can say is, I think, maybe, it might look like, but nobody has any clue. There's no way you can sit there and go, here's what the properties are going to be. We have no idea. So
you couldn't guess what was going to happen in 2020.
No,
if I would have told you this last year, you would have been like, you're crazy. They're going to pen you up.
So you're lucky because you have a very tight market of defined buyers over here on the East Coast. Like you just said, people who waited and said, let me wait until after the first of the year to put my house on the market. They've got to be just pulling their hair out because, you wanted to get through Christmas and you say, okay, I want to get into the next year after I've paid my taxes and everything. And now I looked at a house, I guess on Wednesday. It was a $375,000 house here in West Boca, and now I'm looking at it and go, I can't really put an offer that you'll accept because I have to build a cushion. I don't know what's going to happen. And the lady was like, what I need to sell, well, then I'm going to have to give an offer like 220, 230. You can hold on to it and wait and see, and I can wait and see. I can come back and change it, but I have to build in a cushion now because I don't know what's going to happen. There's no stability, at least over here on the east side. So it's kind of scary.
Well, I'm in the market for my own home right now. I sold my home actually in the beginning of the whole shutdown. It just by circumstance, I was shocked they closed because anything can happen when it was their first pandemic too. So, in that closed. So I'm always looking at the market to see what I can pick up to start working on next. And, I'm in the same position you are. Things are going at a premium, and I'm worried about not having a cushion, and I don't want to overpay. So I'm in the wait and see approach for my own homes right now.
And here's something else I thought is a problem is, let's say you were working, everything was fine, you lost your job in February, you haven't been able to get a new job, now you've got to move. What do you tell the new landlord? Hey, I was current until February, but sorry, now I'm in that bucket of people who, one, just starting a new job, so you got no work history. Two, you haven't paid your rent 3 or 4 months. How is that going to work out with people? I mean, there's too many questions that I don't know. You're going to have to find compassionate people who are looking to help good people out of bad situations and take a chance.
Exactly.
Know what else they're going to have to do. Well, Chris, thank you for your time here. It's been wonderful catching up with you. Tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Well, all you have to do is Google Chris Griffith, Bonita Springs, and you'll find me. You can find me by my website or on any of the social medias, including YouTube.
And I'll put a link in the description. You guys can all click and get over there. But what was funny is you're talking about a realtor who knows how to market. I don't need a business card. Just put my name in Google. Just put
well.
in Google. And if you have to get, put Chris Griffith, Bonita Springs. But you'll see it just pops up. She's done so much work over the last decade of making sure her content was right and making sure that all her keywords and she's saturated. You'll see it. It's just a ton of stuff to find her. And she does a great job over in Bonita Springs. And Chris, thank you for taking the time out today to spend 30, 40 minutes with me and talk about the real estate market over there.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.